You guys may remember a video a few weeks back of me lifting the Baja, and after I did that, I got some mixed reviews of how people felt about it. A local Subaru mechanic actually said that this is going to hurt the car and there's going to be a lot of stuff wearing out. And I think he's mostly right. So I think I found a solution. So a little backstory on how I grew up. My dad is an auto body repair guy, so he does dent repair and anything cosmetic, painting, stuff like that. So that's how I grew up. And I actually bought 2 cars totaled that I fixed up and drove. So am I the most knowledgeable in mechanical stuff and how mechanical stuff works? No, I'm gonna be honest, I am not. But this Baja project has been a huge learning experience for me because now I'm learning how to do the stuff that I've always wanted to do. That's kind of a disclaimer. Don't rely on me for engineering information or mechanic information. This is just stuff I'm learning as I go, and I could be wrong, but I really think this is a simple topic. So back to the whole lift issue. After I lifted it, I took it to a shop and I had the guy look at the engine, and he's all into Subarus, like that's mainly what he does, and he's really good at it. And he mentioned some stuff to me about, you know, dropping everything in the front, because in the back you drop the subframe, you drop everything, so the geometry basically stays the same, it's just a little bit lower. But in the front, you're just putting spacers in the struts. And I can understand what he's saying. There's a lot of stuff that's gonna wear out. You got CV axles, you got driveline, everything. Since everything up front is still normal, everything in the back is lower. It's just how it's gonna be. And I did some research after that. I wanted to see what people had issues with. And a lot of Subaru Baja owners, they lifted it and they didn't do anything up front. They just put the spacers in and they called it done. And a lot of them I talked to personally and I saw on forums, they were saying, hey, I don't have an issue. I've done this for a while. And I really don't have a problem with anything going bad or nothing out of the ordinary. And then there was a few people that I talked to that said, yeah, they blew some CV axles. And I could see how that would be the case since the angle is a little bit steep. So I was stuck for a little bit. Should I drop everything or should I just kind of go with the flow and see what I need to replace? And one of the biggest problems I saw people having issues with is the CV axles, because that's one of the, you know, most obvious things to go. Now, a lot of people would be like the boot, and actually my current Baja boot was torn already without the lift before, so that was already done. But people were breaking CVs, and I wanted to figure out a solution for how to fix that because I had to get new ones anyways, so I might as well get something that will fix the problem. And the CV axles I think that should work are the premium CV axles, and I'll explain what that is. And the axles that I found first were made by Napa. They're called Napa Premium HD CV axles, and there's one for the Baja. And basically I read into it and see what it does, and you could kind of tell by the pictures, and I'll show the footage here. Basically there's no inner cup, so the actual travel from going back and forth, you know, like shifting back and forth horizontally, usually that occurs in the cup, that little piece up top into the transmission. But there isn't actually a cup on these. The shaft is just a little bit thicker in one point, and it actually moves in there. And the good thing about that is the shaft, when it's, let's say your car is lifted or truck is lifted or whatever, it's not gonna be riding on that cup edge. It's just gonna be bent at the transmission, but the actual movement is gonna be inside the shaft. And typically that actually extends the limit of the CV axle up to 45 degrees. And typical stock CV axles are like 25 to 30 degrees. And that was a huge issue because when I looked at my Baja when it was sitting on the ground, it was about, you know, probably in between 25 to 30 degrees of angle there. So ultimately I decided, like I said, my axles were already broken, my boots were torn. I got these, they're a little bit more than typical CV axles, but I was willing to spend that just to try them out and see what they do. So I just put them on, and originally I got the Napa CV axles, as you can see from this footage. I opened them and realized this is not right. And I didn't do my research, and I didn't know that turbo and regular Bajas were different transmissions, or at least different CV axle inserts. The normal Bajas had a male outlet, so it's a female coupling on the CV, but the turbos, it was male on both ends of the CV. So it's male going into the transmission. And so I had to send those back, and I got new ones. I found new ones elsewhere because Napa didn't have the ones I needed. So I installed those and everything went smoothly, and I think it should work pretty great, and I'm excited to see what they do. So that brings me to my point of the video, and literally the title is, don't lift a Subaru without installing these CV axles. And the reason I said is there's a lot of people who have this issue with CV axles. They break their CV axles. So if you lift your Subaru, there's not many options unless you drop the engine and literally everything down an inch or two to compensate. There's literally no other option. So in my case, I didn't want to lose that clearance that I just gained with the lift. So I want to try out better CV axles and see what they do. So is it gonna work? I think so. I don't see any problem with it. I don't think it's not gonna work. So I'd recommend you do the same, but obviously I wanna wait a few months and do a full test and make sure they're good. And then I would easily recommend them to you guys because I think it is a solid option. If you have lifted Subaru and you have any ideas or anything that you've done to it that works well, let me know. I'm very new to this, like I said, and I wanna learn new things. Just comment down below what you did and do what else you gotta do down below. And hopefully this helped you out just a little bit in some way, trying to be helpful, but I'll see you in the next one.